February 8, 1945, Peenemünde, Nazi Germany's most secret weapons facility. A man weighing 38 kilograms is about to steal a bomber. A Heinkel He 111, two engines, wingspan of 74 feet, a machine designed for trained pilots with months of instruction. Mikhail Deviatayev has never sat in a Heinkel cockpit, never touched German controls, never read German instruments. He is a Soviet prisoner of war, number 104534, a walking skeleton in striped rags who has not eaten a full meal in 8 months. His arms are so weak he can barely lift them above his shoulders. In exactly 47 minutes, this dying man will climb into the pilot seat of a Nazi bomber, start both engines, taxi past armed guards, take off from one of the most heavily defended airfields in Germany, and fly 300 kilometers across enemy territory while being shot at from the ground in the air. The Heinkel He 111 requires 50 pounds of force to pull back the control column during takeoff. Deviatayev weighs 84 pounds total. He will attempt this escape with 9 other prisoners, men so starved they have forgotten what strength feels like. Men who know that capture means immediate execution. They have no weapons, no tools, no map, no radio, no training on German aircraft. What they have is one Soviet fighter pilot who refuses to die in a concentration camp. This is the story of the most impossible escape of World War II and the reason the Soviet Union tried to bury it for 12 years. July 1944, 6 months earlier, Lieutenant Mikhail Deviatayev banks his Yak-1 fighter through anti-aircraft fire over Lviv. 17 confirmed kills, 2 orders of the Red Banner, one of the best pilots in the Soviet Air Force. A German Focke-Wulf catches him from above. Cannon rounds tear through his engine. The Yak shudders and drops. Deviatayev bails out at 2,000 feet. German soldiers are waiting when he lands. They transfer him to a prisoner of war camp, but Deviatayev cannot stop being a pilot. He tries to escape, gets caught, tries again, gets caught again. After his 3rd attempt, the Germans reclassify him. No longer a prisoner of war, now a dangerous subversive. They send him to Sachsenhausen, a Nazi concentration camp. 30,000 prisoners, gas chambers, death rate of 800 per month. Deviatayev arrives in late summer 1944, a decorated fighter pilot reduced to number 104534. Prisoners work 12-hour shifts. They receive 700 calories per day. Average survival time is 4 months. You work until your body consumes itself, then you die. Deviatayev watches men collapse around him, watches the smoke rise from the crematorium every night. He decides he will not die here. But how do you escape from a Nazi concentration camp? Electrified fences, machine guns, deep in German territory, no papers, no language skills. Then in October 1944, the Nazis solve his problem. They need workers at a secret facility, prisoners with technical skills. Deviatayev volunteers. He has no idea where they are sending him, but anywhere is better than waiting to die. Peenemünde, island of Usedom, Baltic Sea coast. The prisoners arrive at night. In the morning, Deviatayev understands where he is. Rockets rise from the ground like giant bullets. Peenemünde is Nazi Germany's most advanced weapons research center, the birthplace of the V-1 and V-2 missiles raining terror on London. Deviatayev is now a slave laborer at the airfield adjacent to the rocket facility, but he notices something else. Airplanes, Heinkel bombers on the tarmac, Messerschmitt fighters taxiing to runways, transport planes landing constantly. Deviatayev watches everything: flight schedules, which aircraft are fueled, which guards patrol where. Because he is not just a slave laborer, he is a fighter pilot with 17 kills. Put him in any aircraft and he becomes dangerous. The problem is that German planes are different. The Heinkel 111 cockpit has over 100 switches labeled in a language he cannot read. His experience is in single-engine fighters. The He 111 is a twin-engine bomber, heavy, complex, unforgiving. But the average prisoner at Peenemünde survives 8 weeks. He has been there for 3. He starts studying. Every work detail becomes reconnaissance. He watches mechanics service engines, watches pilots run pre-flight checks, memorizes movements, and matches instrument positions to functions through observation. One aircraft keeps appearing, a Heinkel HE-111 with markings GA on its fuselage. Always fueled, always ready. It belongs to the deputy commandant, kept in constant readiness for urgent flights. Deviatayev picks his target. Now he needs a crew. Concentration camp prisoners do not trust easily. Everyone is desperate. Everyone will do anything to survive. The guards deliberately use prisoner informants, report on escape talk, get extra food. The system destroys solidarity. Deviatayev needs people he can trust absolutely, people strong enough to help, people with nothing left to lose. He starts with Ivan Krivanogov, a former sergeant, a big man. Even after months of starvation, Krivanogov has already attempted escape twice from other camps. He has been beaten nearly to death both times. He does not care anymore. Death from escape or death from exhaustion. At least escape is faster. Through Krivanogov, Deviatayev recruits others slowly, carefully testing each man with small conversations before revealing anything about the plan. Vladimir Sokolov, a tank mechanic captured at Kursk, understands engines might be useful with the Heinkel systems. Mikhail Yemets, an infantry soldier, small and quick, good for anything requiring stealth. Pyotr Kuturgin, an artillery observer, calm under fire, the kind of man you want beside you when everything goes wrong. One by one, Deviatayev builds his team. 10 desperate prisoners planning to steal an airplane. The odds are absurd. They have no weapons to overpower guards, no tools to access the aircraft, and no detailed knowledge of the airfield's security protocols. Deviatayev's plan relies on one factor: surprise. No prisoner has ever tried to steal an aircraft. It is considered impossible. The guards do not defend against impossible attacks. They watch for fence cutting, tunnel digging, and traditional escape methods. They do not watch the aircraft. The plan is simple in concept, terrifying in execution. Step 1, eliminate the guard quietly, take his uniform. Step 2, march the other prisoners across the airfield as a work detail. The man in the guard uniform leads, a normal sight that happens every day. Step 3, reach aircraft GA. Overpower any personnel nearby. Step 4, get inside, start engines. Take off before anyone realizes what is happening. Step 5, fly 300 kilometers east to Soviet lines. Each step can fail fatally. March wrong and they are challenged. Reach the wrong aircraft and it will not start. Get inside too slowly and reinforcements arrive. Fail to start the engines and they are trapped in a metal coffin. Take off wrong and they crash. Fly wrong and they are shot down. 10 steps to freedom. Anyone can mean death for all of them. Deviatayev explains the odds honestly. They are probably going to die, but they are definitely going to die if they stay. Every man agrees. They set the date for February 8th, 1945, 11:30 a.m. Light snow falls on Peenemünde. Visibility is low. Perfect cover for what is coming. Deviatayev's group is assigned to runway maintenance, a standard work detail. 10 prisoners, 1 guard. They have been doing this for weeks, nothing unusual. The guard is new, young, does not know the prisoners' faces, and does not watch closely. Perfect. They work slowly, gathering tools, moving into position, waiting for the moment. Krivanogov is the strongest. At 12:15, the guard steps into a drainage ditch to relieve himself, hidden from the watchtowers, alone with the prisoners for 30 seconds. Krivanogov moves. A shovel rises and falls. The guard drops without a sound. They strip his uniform quickly. Ivan Krivanogov puts it on. It does not fit right. Too tight across the shoulders, but from a distance in the snow it will pass. Now they are a work detail with a guard escort, normal and expected. Krivanogov barks orders in rough German. The other 9 prisoners fall into line. They march toward the airfield, hearts pounding, eyes fixed forward. Every step brings them closer to either freedom or death. The aircraft are 400 meters away, 300 meters. A real guard approaches, a Wehrmacht enlisted man, rifle on his shoulder. Deviatayev's group keeps marching. Krivanogov shouts something unintelligible. The real guard shrugs, wrong accent, maybe a foreign volunteer. There are thousands of non-German personnel at Peenemünde. He lets them pass. 100 meters. Aircraft GA sits on the tarmac. 2 German mechanics work nearby. Routine maintenance. The engines are cold, but the fuel tanks are full. This is it. The group approaches the aircraft. Krivanogov gives a command. The prisoners scatter toward the Heinkel as if assigned to work on it. The mechanics look up confused. They were not expecting a work detail. Before they can speak, Kudergin and Yemetz are on them with fists and elbows. The mechanics go down unconscious. Deviatayev runs for the cockpit. The door is unlocked. He climbs inside. The instrument panel stretches before him. 100 controls he has never touched. Labels he cannot read. Systems he does not understand. He has perhaps 3 minutes before someone notices the fallen mechanics. Mikhail Deviatayev, concentration camp prisoner number 104534, weighing 38 kilograms, sits down in the pilot seat of a Heinkel He 111 bomber and tries to remember how to fly. The aircraft smells like fuel and leather, German engineering, German precision, every switch in a specific place for a specific reason. Deviatayev has watched Heinkel pilots run pre-flight checks from a distance. He memorized the sequence of hand movements, but memorizing and executing are different things. He finds what he thinks is the fuel primer, pumps it, finds the ignition switches, flips them. Nothing happens. The other prisoners are piling into the aircraft, 9 men crowding into a space designed for 5 crew members. They do not know what is wrong. They just see Deviatayev sitting frozen in the pilot seat. "Start it," someone hisses. Deviatayev is missing something. A step in the sequence. Something the German pilots did that he did not understand. Battery switch. He scans the panel, finds something that might be it, flips it up. The instrument lights flicker on. Now the ignition. The left engine coughs, sputters, catches. The propeller begins to spin. The right engine next. Same sequence. Fuel prime ignite. Both engines running, but they are not out yet. Deviatayev has never taxied a twin-engine aircraft. The steering uses differential braking. Press the left brake to turn left, the right brake to turn right. Get it wrong and you spin in circles. Get it really wrong and you flip the aircraft. He releases the wheel brakes. The Heinkel begins to roll too fast. He is heading toward another parked aircraft. He stamps on the left brake. The bomber lurches, slews sideways, almost tips. The prisoners in the back are thrown against the walls. Someone curses. Deviatayev finds a balance. Gentle corrections let the aircraft find its path. Behind them, someone finally notices what is happening. Shouts in German. An alarm begins to sound. They are 500 meters from the runway threshold. 400. A truck appears from behind a hangar. Soldiers in the back racing toward the taxiing bomber. 300 meters. The truck is gaining. If it reaches them before they take off, the soldiers will shoot through the cockpit windows, shoot out the tires, or simply ram the aircraft. 200 meters. Deviatayev reaches the runway and turns the bomber to align with the center line. The truck is 100 meters behind. He pushes both throttles forward. The Heinkel He 111 weighs 14,000 kilograms fully loaded. It requires 400 meters of runway to reach takeoff speed, and it requires the pilot to pull back the control column with 50 pounds of force to lift the nose off the ground. Mikhail Deviatayev weighs 38 kilograms. He cannot lift the nose. The Heinkel is racing down the runway at 140 kilometers per hour. Deviatayev pulls the control column toward his chest. It does not move. He is not strong enough. 8 months of starvation. His muscles have consumed themselves. He cannot generate the force required to rotate the aircraft. Behind them, the truck has reached the runway edge. Soldiers are jumping out, raising rifles. If the bomber does not lift off in the next 10 seconds, it will run out of runway and crash into the perimeter fence. Deviatayev screams for help. Two prisoners, Sokolov and Kuturgin, stumble forward through the chaos. They grab the control column with Deviatayev, three men pulling. The column moves inches. Bullets crack past the cockpit. Someone in the back screams, either hit or terrified. Impossible to know. The nose rises just slightly, just enough. The wheels leave the ground. Aircraft GA, a Heinkel He 111 carrying 10 escaped concentration camp prisoners, becomes airborne at 12:21 p.m. on February 8, 1945. They climb into the gray sky. Snow swirls around the wings. The airfield falls away below. For a moment, there is silence. Then Peenemunde's air defense batteries open fire. Anti-aircraft rounds burst around the Heinkel, black puffs of smoke, shrapnel pinging off the fuselage. Deviatayev throws the aircraft into a banking turn, west first to confuse pursuit about their intended direction, then north over the Baltic Sea, then east towards Soviet lines. The German anti-aircraft crews track them for 2 minutes. Then the bomber disappears into the clouds. Inside the aircraft, chaos. One prisoner is wounded. They have nothing to bandage it with. Someone tears a strip from his prison uniform and wraps the wound. The Heinkel shudders and groans. Deviatayev does not know how badly damaged it is. He does not know how much fuel they have. He does not know exactly where they are. The aircraft has navigation instruments, but they are useless to him. Compass, yes, he can read that. But the radio equipment, the beacons, the German navigation charts, all are meaningless without training. He navigates by instinct. East, keep flying east. The front line is somewhere ahead. The altitude indicator shows 2,000 meters. The speed indicator shows 280 kilometers per hour. The fuel gauge shows something, maybe half full, maybe less. He cannot read German measurements. They have been airborne for 20 minutes. When the weather clears below them, they see fields, forests, and roads with military vehicles, all German. They are still deep in enemy territory, at least 200 kilometers from the front. Deviatayev pushes the throttles forward. Every minute of flight is a minute closer to freedom. 40 minutes in the air, the fuel gauge needle has moved significantly lower. 50 minutes, smoke begins trailing from the left engine. Damage from the anti-aircraft fire is finally showing. Deviatayev adjusts the fuel mixture, reduces power to the damaged engine, and tries to balance the aircraft. The Heinkel wants to yaw left. He fights the controls constantly. 60 minutes. Below, the landscape changes. More shell craters, burned villages, the signs of recent combat. They are approaching the front line, and then the Soviet anti-aircraft batteries see a German bomber flying toward their positions. Now stop right here, because what happens next is something that could only happen in the Soviet Union. Something so cruel, so absurd, that it will haunt these men for the rest of their lives. They are flying a shot-up German bomber towards Soviet lines, and the Soviets are trying to shoot them down. Soviet anti-aircraft gunners see a Heinkel He 111 approaching their positions. They do not ask questions. They open fire. Tracer rounds rise from the ground. Deviatayev throws the bomber into evasive turns, but it is too heavy, too damaged, and too slow. Bullets rip through the fuselage. Men scream in the back. The left engine explodes. Actual flames pour from the cowling. Oil sprays across the wing. The engine dies. On one engine, the Heinkel cannot maintain altitude. It starts dropping fast. 1,000 meters above the ground, 600 meters. Deviatayev can see Soviet trenches below, artillery positions, soldiers staring up at the falling bomber, 300 meters. He has seconds to make a decision, try to reach a proper airfield and risk the second engine quitting, or crash land right here and hope they survive. He aims for a snow-covered field and pulls back on the controls. The Heinkel hits the ground like a bomb. The landing gear collapses instantly. The belly scrapes across frozen earth. Metal tears. The propeller hits the ground and disintegrates into deadly shrapnel. Snow sprays everywhere. The bomber slides 200 meters, shedding pieces before finally stopping. Deviatayev is alive, bleeding, and shaking. He looks back into the cabin. 9 men, all moving, all alive. They scramble through the exits and fall into the snow, crawling away from the wreckage as fuel drips onto hot metal. Soviet soldiers sprint toward them from the trenches, rifles up, yelling in Russian. Deviatayev stands. He is 38 kilograms, wearing concentration camp stripes covered in blood and fuel. He says, "Do not shoot. We are Soviet. We escaped from Peenemünde." The soldiers look at each other. Nobody believes him. And that is when things got worse. Soviet counterintelligence took them into custody immediately, not as heroes but as suspects. For weeks they were interrogated. How did you survive when millions died? How did you learn to fly German aircraft? Are you spies or collaborators? Deviatayev told them everything. Peenemunde's layout, the V-2 rockets, and launch sites. His intelligence would eventually help the Soviet space program, but they did not thank him. They sent him to a penal military unit, still under suspicion. The war ended 3 months later. They released Deviatayev, but did not give him his rank back, did not restore his pilot status, and did not call him a hero. He went home and disappeared into silence. His story was classified. The Soviet doctrine was brutal. Real soldiers die fighting. Anyone who survived captivity was suspect, a traitor. For 12 years, Mikhail Deviatayev lived as a forgotten man. While the Soviet Union used his intelligence from Peenemünde to build their space program, he worked a regular job in obscurity. Then in 1957, everything changed. Rocket scientist Sergei Korolev told officials the truth. This man's escape had helped launch the Soviet space race. On August 15, 1957, 12 years after his impossible flight, Deviatayev was finally awarded Hero of the Soviet Union, the highest honor. For an escape his government had tried to erase, he weighed 38 kilograms when he stole that bomber, flew through enemy fire, saved 9 men, and his country treated him like a criminal for 12 years. Sometimes surviving is not the hard part, it is surviving what comes after.